Let's try that again. OBS crashed. Friday games. That one. Am I really quiet? Shouldn't be. Is there a hide? There. I want you to hide cursor. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Did not mean to be quiet or anything. I am just trying to figure out something. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Let's connect that back up. Okay. I did not, like, that's not supposed to be, like... Let's just do that. Okay. Try that. Okay. Let's get into the game here. There is music. Is it not loud enough? It's at 3, 4, 5. Sometimes it gets really loud for me, so I never know if it's too loud for you guys. Alright. Let's refresh that, make sure that's gonna work. Do that. Ha! There we go. Whee! Your blue fantasy unicorn thingy. What you hear and what we can hear can be different. Yeah, I know. That's the problem, is it gets really loud for me, but at times, I never know if it's too loud for you guys. Now apparently you can choose your character and avatar. I hope I got that set up right. I have no idea. Supposed to be like a panel or something. Oh, down there. Okay. I'm gonna have to move that, I think. Yeah, true. True. Well, I'll worry about that part later. Okay, let's get into the game. No, not that one. Let's not continue. Or, I mean, let's not, end it. That's what I was trying to say. Or start a new one. So I am doing the Rise from the Ashes. Alright. Well, the fact that I can see the little dudes. Can I, like, make that part smaller? That side? No, that doesn't work there. Okay, well, I'll just have to go back and forth. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Alright. Yes, I want to load that. Alright. February 24, 941. District Court, Defendant Lobby 2. So, what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each crime scene. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I missed it all night or so. So, how did it go? Am I just skipping through these? No, I'm reading them. I'm doing, like, basically a day at a time. Because, this is, like, day 3. And they've been taking longer than I expected, so... What? It's not. It's like hitting the green, or the end of the green. I don't understand. Is that better? Like, it's right next to my mouth. You can come down and see. Like, I can't make it without it going in my mouth like that. Now it is. Yeah. As Mr. Wright suspects, the police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. Why? You are not guilty, for God's sakes, woman. To pause and check your VOD. Okay. I can't pause the stream, but I can mute myself and check it. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. Okay, let's see. See, it's like that. Sorry, we're just checking my audio here. Like, it's always at that level. There we go. That's still, like, I don't talk very loud. Well, there we go. You have a shadow ghost. Alright, we're just trying to figure out my audio. Apparently I don't talk loud enough. I just need to get my straw here. Slowly going through these. As long as I don't break them. And I need my snackage before we get any further. Let's face it, I'm going to snack. I need to snack. Alright. Might have to make those little avatars a little bigger, I think. You guys let me know if they're too small. I mean, they're kind of cute. But I have to watch them on my VOD later to see if they're actually, like, bigger. Because I'm obviously looking at it through OBS. Alright. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind the simultaneous murder, they wouldn't see capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. Yeah. But I mean, I could make them bigger if people find that they're too small or can't figure out exactly what they are. Right now, they're default size. And some of the avatars that you can get are like huge. So I kind of wanted to like not have them too many. And depending on what you choose, depends on what ones. Like, I've got a whole bunch of other ones. But yeah, I can make them bigger if I need to. Oh, cute. It actually says what you wrote there. Underneath. I didn't know that part. I didn't set that part. I just left them on default. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Guy? I missed it till you said it. Yeah. See? I showed the cursor over there, but you can't see the cursor. It would be over here somewhere. We found traces of evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. Yeah, shows up over the nameplate. Yeah. I didn't know it did that, because on kitties, I didn't see it do that. So I guess there's a way to turn them off. And apparently you can get them to do stuff, and some of them have gear you can put on them. I don't know, like... That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. February 24, 10 a.m. District Courtroom 9. There. Court is now in session for the trial of Ms. Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. Miss Wright, as in Phoenix Wright. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim was from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today, I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now, that's what set Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things. Even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. Objection! You can't be killed in two places at once. No, you can't. That's the problem. And we actually saw video footage of what looked to be the victim in the evidence room at the time. So I think we have a situation of someone dressed up like the victim in one place and the actual victim in the other place. I think. I have got to clean this. I have to get the other desk put together. That's supposed to be admirable, right, trait? Well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. This is why I need a third monitor. I'm actually seriously considering getting a third monitor. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? He's not so-called. Or things are getting wild from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I'm Officer Mike Meekin, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. Oh, yeah, I agree. Wait, so you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I never killed anyone, sir. You gotta believe me, sir.
Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is, sir, I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Wright. Edgeworth, sorry. Sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir. As you wish. After all, I am a part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. I really need to start doing my webcam again, because I seriously just rolled my eyes at that. You can't fault him for the lack of enthusiasm. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do unto others before they do unto you! That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness? Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more information to work with. Let's get some more information about everything he says, because it makes no sense. Wait, I'm missing something here. There we go. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now there's a scary thought. I agree. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by Chief of Detectives, sir. Oh, that creepy thing. I was to ensure that it wasn't broken during the transfer process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is! I found it! This is the one right here. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir. It's 4989596. That's my number, sir. Why is there a star bounce here on the screen? I'm just gonna, like, see if I can... no, come back here. I so need another... Now, if you do command jump, you should be able to jump and catch the star. Supposedly. I see, but the number 4989596 appears twice. Is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. First time was when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time was when I went to get him after everything settled down. I see, so it was during the second time when... Yes, sir, that was when I spotted the man on the security screen. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. So, you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir. A knife. Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in and on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You weren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. Swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you could just keep your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. Fought for my life, and then I did it. Nope. This is the continuation of last week and the week before. I haven't finished this one yet. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know, I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. He took his knife. I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. See, he must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in the sea of my blood. And then the next thing I knew, yes? He punched me right in my face, sir. I know. What person closes their eyes when they're fighting? Like, unless, like, don't answer that, but, I mean... I just have this image of him closing his eyes, swinging his arms wildly, sort of like, I'm gonna be a very genderist person right now, like a girl, because, I mean, let's face it, they, you know, girls fight that do that little slappy thing. I don't know. I am a girl, but hey. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying in tears of pain. Well, that's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we have now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor? Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? It's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins. With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Grant delivered it to me just this morning. The chief delivered it? What is this? Why am I starting to get the feeling that... Because so far in every one of these cases, it's been some higher up dude with corrupted, like that has some power and they're corrupted. You know, it's the former prosecutor. It was I can't remember who it was in the samurai one, but it was some high up person. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, like, the legal field is not that corrupt, people. They're dumb, but they're not corrupt. That corrupt. I'm not saying they're not corrupt. I'm just saying they're not that corrupt. At least up here in Canada. I mean, we have our issues, but come on. What is that? A videotape? Yes, sir. It's absolutely right, sir. Videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Yeah. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. Video of a real murder. Just what we're getting ourselves into. Blue Badger. Yeah, right, yeah. What's his name walks by? This is an awfully low security camera. And of course you can't see what's his name's face. Like, shouldn't this security camera be up high? Spins around, slashing. Yes, you can never see his face. And then, of course, if it continues, as the camera faces away, Meekins is knocked out, slumps against the corner. Yeah. Shock, annoyance, confusion. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? But here's the thing. Before I read this, Meekins gets knocked out, but the body's not there. So obviously he didn't kill the guy. Because otherwise the body would still be there. What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire criminal affairs department, sir. It's Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Yes, well, anyway, this tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter, someone. Yeah. Which guy? The officer? Your Honor, instead of relying clearly on complete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Yeah. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir, as you wish, sir. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Goodman's fingerprints to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead. But everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's, so it must be him. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir! If I may say something, sir. Please do. After all, you're the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it has his hand. It was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust a knife into my body, sir. Hey, Pepper! Lurkin? Yeah, no worries. Aw, you're a little tiger down at the bottom. If I need to make that bigger, you just tell me and I'll try and make it bigger. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. I apologize now for the loud bullhorn. He uses it regularly, unfortunately. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with that. Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again. Is there a problem with the... There's a problem. There's always a problem. Regarding the videotape contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such contradiction? Interesting, Your Honor. I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edward? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well. Proposal accepted. Let us further inspect the piece of evidence. I will now play the security. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction that you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video. This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Goodman? Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. It's lit up. Because that's Goodman's locker. It's already lit up. The thing that's strange about the video would have to be, this. Hold on a second. I need to use my eye drops. Well, I don't get it. Would you mind if I borrowed your eye medicine? Don't look at me with those bleary eyes. Before your eyes get too teary, perhaps you should think through again, huh? Now what do I do? Let's look at this again. Just remember one thing. Every time you point your finger, someone gets hurt. Says the one pointing his finger at us. Well, I will play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us what the contradiction you have to point in the video. It's the first time I have to do that. You can do it. Okay. Yeah. This is all repeat. I will play as many times as I want, dude. Alright. Do. Okay, let's just fast forward a little bit. So he walks by. Oh. Can't actually fast forward. So as he opens it, ha! The thing that's strange about this video would have to be this. Hold on a second. I need to use my drops. Well, I don't get it. Would you mind if I borrowed your... Yeah. Why am I not... Like, can I not zoom in? Oh! I'm supposed to actually click on the spot. Sorry guys, I am using a walkthrough if anybody's asking. Because... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There we go, that's how you fast forward. You actually have to hold it down. Okay, now when he opens it, pause. Haha! That. Yes, that is strange. Something certainly seems unnatural about that. What could it mean? Sorry to interrupt, Miss Wright, but you seem to have forgotten the point of this exercise. Point? What you were looking at for is one thing, and one thing only. Something that indicates that the man may not be Detective Goodman. Sorry, my mouth is full. Can I present? Oh, I can't present that from here. That's probably not the right time, but it does. I don't see the content. Really, objection overruled. Ah, shit. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Where's the videotape? There's the videotape.
Objection!
Can I just... Okay, you know what, let's just... Yeah, let's just get through this. Let's do it this way. So alternatively, I can do that. Come back here. Okay, let's try this again first. Okay, yeah, do all this again. I will figure this out, people. I will. Yeah, yeah. It's gotta be this. Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, the sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, it opens up. Light turns on, and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, it's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. I have no control over this part. The victim reaches for the handle. Let's rewind a little bit to a little earlier. He's wearing gloves. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Ah! Choked himself. Order! Order! What's the meaning of this? Very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked when the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know. I must be have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. It's not likely, sir. Sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, just shows novices should keep their mouth shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes. Why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system's sensors. Something jammed the sensor. Say, there's something else that seems out of place on the tape. Yeah, I thought so too. There's got to be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked, right? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we see that. Fast forwarding. And then, boom, right there. Right there. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Now I have no control. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out of when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll quite great distances when I open my cart door. We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? Sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? This judge seems to be, like, completely bonkers, like, no brain whatsoever. Just saying. How I made a judge, I have no idea. The white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It must be like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have had to be extremely thin to be fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have blocked electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator, I think I've finally got this figured out. Very well. Will the defense please present the relevant insulator? What was this insulator that was stuck in the door? This thing! I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But this isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Isn't that so, Officer Meekins? Sir! It would appear so! Order! 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 I'll have a burger and fries and a side of salad. And a chocolate milkshake. So we are to believe that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. But in a court of law, if you can put even a fragment of a little bit of a doubt into a jury, into a judge's mind, that could be declared a mistrial or an acquittal. Just saying. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins? Please testify about this. Testify about what? Sir! Me, sir! I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh! You mean that, sir? Of course, sir! Is this a joke? A lot of times I get the feeling that the witnesses are led in this game, which is not allowed, but yeah. Mystery Man 2. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had to use his ID card. An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card right here, sir. The ID used at 514 is that of the victim. Just before the crime. Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transfer. Why were there so few people using this room? That's a good question. This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. There were only a few cases. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to cross-examination. One of the things, attention evidence room, yeah. When I case for a crooked of it. At that time, the crime detective had used his red. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. Ah, a lost item report? It's only half completed, but it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to have filled out this report. Let me guess, you believe this something had to be his ID card? Hello! How you doing? How you doing? We're just gonna give you a shout out, because apparently my thingies are not working. Why am I not surprised? Haha, there we go. We've got a little Nightbot down here. And are we gonna have a... there's me over here. And we had a Sanjin over here somewhere. I think Sanjin's left. Do we have a Pepper? Oh, there's Pepper right there. Right in the middle, right under the word right. Kind of tiny, but hey. Let me get you a blue card. I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order! Order! I already did, dude. So now what does this mean? It can only mean one thing. Does it even require much thought? Oops. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room, Officer Meekin's encounter, was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. The first, the locker in the evidence room is already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far? Yes, what's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in the video is fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is, well, I guess that's right. Something wrong with Mr. Wright. Only moments ago you seemed content on pointing your finger around. That isn't going to end well. Well, it seems you've finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in the video is a fake, which means murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place in one location, the underground parking lot, at the prosecutor's office. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy evidence observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Ah! I knew this testimony was way too shabby. It's all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? Where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else. Lana, what do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? I object! One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. I have no control, sorry folks. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident in the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor? The defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have a reason to believe knows the truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. Prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have to testify, what is his or her name? Mr. Cowboy. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? Can't let Edward know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. Prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. Ow. I just ground my teeth. Sorry. Ow. As I bite my cheek. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Hmm? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. Oh, now my nose starts running. Sorry, folks. It seems you figured everything out. Not quite. Huh? I haven't figured out anything yet. What? You're the one who knows everything. Emma. You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? I hope I'm not interrupting, pals. You literally just stepped in front of my client. Guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe. What is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making Detective run all around on duty. Top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Skye. That's okay, sir. Have you brought what I asked? Oh. Oh, oh. You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. Ah, that's why. My name? Oh, never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I need them by noon. Talk about crazy. SL9 incident. But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you. The Chief Prosecutor were a witness in that case. Miss Skye was a witness? Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now you brought your stuff. You're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana! This SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No, Lana. It's over with. No! Emma, wait. You know what? I just remembered. I'm gonna be somewhere. Sorry, pal. I'm out of here. You would be. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Grant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. It can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. Can I look at the file? Can I look at the file? Apparently not. Oh! Why? I wanna... Incident. SL9, closed. Perpetrator, Joe Dark. Crime serial killer. Sentence death. Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses, Lana and Emma Skye. Executive investigators, Damon Grant, Lana Skye. Head investigator, Bruce Goodman. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. She's got herself as actually a conflict in this. She should not have been investigating since she was a witness to it. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering in the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind. I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? Desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I was just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. Can't say I care particularly for your beard. But you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card readers. I reckon every cow, even a cowboy like you, knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprinted activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Oh, God. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd that you being called to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here? Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind you at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. So to change those, as you can tell, you go on to, if you're on the, on my page, if you scroll, if you scroll down beneath the About, there will be stream avatars. And you can actually select the different like any one of the avatars. I don't have very many, but I do have a few. Yes, you're actually a striped cat. You're a golden ginger. So, yeah. I can make it bigger too if you want, if it's too small. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that's it. Make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? So if I go like this. Here, there. Let's just make it really big. Do that little big too. There. Is that better? That's better. Now I can see you. It's not going to affect anything. And the more people, the more the colors that show up too. The blood was wiped away, however. The luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on her shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall, about the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural my fingerprints to be in the evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. Murderer attached to the locker where my fingerprints was by chance. Blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. Witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. Defense may now cross-examine. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Cross-examination. Like I said, it's only natural. That's because you... How did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That locker happens to be mine. What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now is a heap of broken dreams. Let's see. Maybe strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Then how does he not know about the fingerprint reader? Like, that doesn't make sense. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. Must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without knowing it. And just happened to be at the same place. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It's found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on the handprint. Yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer was wearing gloves. Happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The seal of blood in the desert. It's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape? So long as my trail isn't in there, can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. What do you mean by that? What, you want to tie me to this crime? Isn't that right, partner? If so, the video is the only direct evidence you have.
Objection!
That video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots. Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. Not to mention the fact that it's down low. So...
Objection!
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence that this video indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making mistakes. Now, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence. Wait, hold on. Okay, there's nothing there. Let's see. Anything else? That light's on. Falls out. They get into a fight. Blah blah blah. He disappears. Okay. Should be something in here. Okay, there's him there. That's still open. Wait. Hello. What's this?
Take that!
Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Alright, very well. You can clearly see in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. Boo! Right there. The locker with the white cloth sticking out. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. I can't rewind it any faster, sorry folks. And technically, well, he already admitted he wasn't at his post, so... Well, hey, wait a minute. Oh, the white cloth is gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everybody staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened the locker, now prove it. Oops, I hit the wrong button.
Take that!
A fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, locks aren't that obvious. There's even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff? What do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Well, that is 1 word. Order! 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 I told you, I'll have a burger, fries, salad, chocolate milk, with ice cream for dessert. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, it's no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure this out the rest from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where is the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Ba-dum, 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 boop.
Take that!
As we're going, Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. That's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when he confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me! Sorry for the loud noise. Something about Officer's story puzzled me. The man had his ID card. Why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that his cover would have been blown, Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. I've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it? You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have a hard evidence proving I dressed up as a victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. Can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have evidence proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see your fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you were the only one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ugh, this can't be happening. It's obvious he's the one. What can I do? Edgeworth? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. For me, that would be what May used to say. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I should look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. The videotape, but rather that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it had been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as a detective, Goodman, at the time of the crime, and after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. That's a coat, I think. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that. He opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at that security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker and put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness... Okay, we're just gonna go fast forward. 1, 2, 3. There's that. There's that. Ooh, hello. Right there.
Take that!
For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID, you pulled out a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. Bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I'm underestimated, y'all. I hope you're happy now, Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright, it seems time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. Wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There weren't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor in the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It's way too much blood for such a small donation. Some people bleed a lot. Why did you have to do it? When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since the case was closed. It's going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I had anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of the investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID card and dressed like him and planned to take out the evidence. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And detective ID card? Stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out the lost item report. Returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint. Activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under no circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open the locker yourself. But it could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Which is correct, because when you read the log, Goodman showed up twice. Earlier, like half an hour before, and then at the time. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to show his ID. We'll have to think a little more about his raise next year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me, and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had turned out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked out Officer Meekins and managed to escape. I knew where all the cameras were. So you did your research beforehand. Those who got into the desert unprepared don't live long. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is raised every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage had been left. However, you bloodied your coat in the struggle with Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker, stashed it in there. What was the Officer Meekins during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Oh, I could go back and forth? Cool, I didn't know that. Pressing buttons, people. But the blood found on the scene certainly indicates the crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on the tape is me, but I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where's that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. It's no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. Can't just be forgiven with simple cut in salary. Forever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL incident. You know why? Why? Solved 2 years ago. That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crime. One thing I can say for sure, he deserved a sentence. Remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at the trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know, that's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to the case. I'd better take another look at the files. I'm just thinking, people. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? Must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed, and that case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Grant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of, worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Joe Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the police records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him and he was rendered unconscious. Yes, this mystery has finally become cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, the fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means the only person who could have committed the crime, Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me the boys got a draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely unconstitutional. Contestable. If you have a response, make a single word or less. Thank you. I rest my case. As arrogant as he is fun. It seems this trial has reached a conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder of the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. But now, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Hold it! Wait, what? Your Honor, wait. Emma? The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right. What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright? Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense. Please, Your Honor. All I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please? I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings, now that she mentions it. Names of both Sky sisters were in the file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'm sure they'd find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. Did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Well then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident in the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more use, but still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the detective handprint in Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing?
Objection!
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yeah. Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. All this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing on the floor plans? No, don't do that.
Take that!
What about the piece of plywood? The Blue Badger? Mascot of the police force. Defender of the truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint at the spot of the locker. Ah! So that means... Just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be a den. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger into the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that means blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow this far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, the police department's evidence room. Blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on the tape, taken by a security camera. Officer Meekin's hand cut, from which trivial amount was blood. Problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on the tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
Objection!
The murder portrayed in the security tape has proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
Objection!
So then, assuming this murder you report really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins and Dick Marshall, who posing as Detective Goodman, other incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker room proves this. Very well. Then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proofs must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present this evidence, which shows when the first murder took place?
Take that!
If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it, and in order to do so, the ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh! The record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel in at the evidence room. Let's see here. 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Ah! Ah! Mr. Edward! Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Doesn't take a lot to figure her out. It couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. Afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal test the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to the murder the victim carrying away body and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the room. Looks at the chart again. So who is this? Talk about lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room, since there's no record of his card being used beforehand? He must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number 7777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card, at least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against the executive is accepted. An official charge. Y'all like, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. Would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Objection!
Hey, Average Gaming, how are ya? There we go. Haha. And by the way, you got a little figure there. Welcome. Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked her up her ID number, and it's not 777. Good. I'm good. Trying to stay cool despite the fact that I'm actually wearing a sweater in an AC-run house at the moment. How are you doing? You're doing good. Yeah, I have no idea why I'm wearing a sweater, but I am. The AC gets to me a little too much at times. Don't play me for a pool partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Did you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At that time, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Huh? Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. What? Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. I'm with him. See? That's what I'm talking about. No, no! Order, 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 order! I already put my order in, dude. You just haven't delivered. I love all those creatures. The counseling courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion at the trial would have to wait until the following day. To be continued. And we are at... Okay, we got a little more time. Yes, I want to save my progress. February 24th, 3:12 p.m. Right to ENCO law offices. Hold on a second. Let me just see here. Okay, we'll finish the day out, so we'll finish this next little part, and then we'll call it, and then we'll do day 4 next time. Oops, I need that open. Sorry, I am using a walkthrough. Because I suck at these kind of games. There we go. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? Tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother Neil was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yeah. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Dude. Yeah. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together when she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office, Joe Dark. He seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jacob Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out suddenly. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned to my permanent picture in my memory. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. See, you weren't able to testify about that. No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why Lana... why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted the guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yeah. But I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known. He was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about him. I mean, it's all my fault. I could have testified properly. None of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Young Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies. Find evidence, make the airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I can finally understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Well, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Was the detective's office and the questioning room are right across from the elevator? Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire unit. What? Well, that's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office. I made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? Better have a talk with her. Agreed. Lana. That's right, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence, I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, you were wrong. An innocent person might have been found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana? Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason you were transferred to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about the unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright? A lot of revelations were uncovered at today's trial, at least of which the fact that this case is largely connected to another 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expect as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped. After the trial, 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. It's true. I was a member of police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Sorry, folks, I'm just gonna take my sweater off here. There we go. Chief Gant? I think he has something to do with it. I'm just saying. He was deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of these 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means investigation led by Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office, and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He had quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was a serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in the final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office, shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Dragon. Yeah, if you go into, if you go under the, just below my about, there's a thing called Stream Avatars, and you can actually pick your character. I can't do it for you. Can I do it for you? Whee! I cannot. Huh. So if you're on my page, right, on my channel, you'll see the About Phoenix Dragon box. And then below that, you'll see stream avatars. And then you can, it should be right before the About Me. And then, like, all those little icons, and then you can pick whichever one you want. You can just select it. Like, I can go... There's, like, two little, like, tiny little unicorns, too, in there. We'll go with that one. I don't know if that did anything. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm dancing. So yeah, you can pick any one of those. And there's also options for actions and... Hello, Irishman! How are ya? How are ya? I hope all is well. There's Irishman right there. And you actually, if you see, whenever you type in chat, it actually shows up there too. So it's a lot of fun. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. I hope you're doing well, Irishman. Prosecutor marshaled the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, Good just got done setting up new Gen 1 server to eventually cluster with Gen 2 when it finally launches. Ah, yeah. Supposedly tomorrow at 8 AM Eastern Time, it is supposed to drop. According to their notice today. The day it was actually supposed to drop. So, yeah. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Drake under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to the extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall, yes. His actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Selling Sanjin yesterday that you guys are welcome to play and stream from my servers if you want. Gen 2 will be up in the morning, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm ready to play on other people's servers. I am, like, so noob. I will mess things up. Not just for you, but for me. But I also don't have as many, like, mods or anything like that for it as everybody else, so I don't have that kind of a hard drive space. Might just not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon and Gant I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office. Can't mess things up. You don't know me very well, Irishman. Now, granted, I'm not Snowman or Sarah, but I could probably mess things up. But I do thank you for the offer, and I will consider it. I will. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office, the site of the final SL9 in murder. Okay, we talked about that. It's only 8 mods and their quality of. Oh, okay. It's kind of cool. Yeah. I guess I have to go there first. But I don't want to go there. I want to go to the police department. Yeah, I know. I do want to leave that. Thank you. Thank you. I want to go there. You'll find Marshall. Hello, Marshall. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. Never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? What am I pulling on? Oh, that's what I'm pulling on. Let's not pull on that. Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. Voluntary appearance? But we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prosecutors head west? Prospectors head west. Prosecutors head west. If there ever was a case I need to know the truth about, it was this one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Huh? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. No, you're not getting a steak lunch. Something was fishy about the trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. Murder weapon? You mean the switchblade with the broken tip? There we go. That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. Question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound and the victims shared. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor, you mean? King of prosecutors. I knew it. What are you looking at me for it? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and nightfall there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so it couldn't die. Apparently someone had tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered. The evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. The star was fired, I was demoted, and boxed away in a tiny room about Detective Goodman. They did something to him, too. The commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. The investigation led Damon Gant and his second-in-command, Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone knew her, said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said the same thing too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. On a secret? It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? Certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. No shit. Said that as much. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. Someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. What did you just spit out? Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Pretty empty. Must be inside solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Oh, wow. He actually talked to us. The chief prosecutor saying what she did and decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word I usually use for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around the Chief Gant's office. Just use connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to Chief Gant's office. Ooh, somewhere new. Why is there a piano in his office? What the fudge? Large church organ, yeah. Whoa, where am I? It's off silly. At least that's what it said on the door. Check out the pipe organ. Not real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius back then. Never could remember where C was. Hmm? Oh, it's you two! Chief Gant. He put that paper he used reading on his desk. Well, so, righto! Have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. Can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. Lana's provocative statement? Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall there? That's the picture of Lana, Neil, and me. Sorry, I just saw something. Something's missing. Look at this. This thing has a sword on it. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right in that picture. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there are matters I need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long been sober, so no need to investigate anymore. All the same, we'd like to stick around and have a look. Stream fund. Let's get legal. Welcome, Villager Red. Welcome. Yeah, you can read ahead. I just couldn't think of anything else today to call it. Just like, let's just get legal, shall we? Not a problem. I mean, I just randomly pick names. I love it. I'd never even thought of that, man. I wish I was that age again. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now, hurry on up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Oh, this... Yes! I don't like him. I think he did it all. I think this is the last case on the first game. I will finish... Yeah. I'll be completely honest. I am using a walkthrough. Because yeah. Quote-unquote choosing own adventures. Yeah, I tried not to for the first little while, and then I got stuck in the first, like, case, and then I was like, forget it. I'm doing it. Seems like that case isn't over yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. Yeah. You mean, like a clue? There's gotta be a way to get inside the chief's office. Do, 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 do. Go into the criminal affairs office. Yeah, thank you. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe. Aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? In this case, man. Yeah! I'm just, taking a breather. My feet hurt. The one thing I found about these characters, some of them I want... So, I don't think you've watched my... I don't know if I can't recall, because I have, like, the worst memory in the world. If you've seen any of my streams about this game, yes. But I work in law. I don't do criminal law, but I have, and I do know how the court system works. I know a little bit of American court system. I'm Canadian. So doing a lot of this, I just want to smash my head against the wall sometimes dealing with some of these characters because it's so wrong. It's so wrong. But that's actually one of the reasons why a friend of mine suggested I play these games. Because I work in law. So yeah. From sitting too long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? It's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battle's between you two in court. Sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. I have not. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. Ooh. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor kept him safe for all those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey, Dick! Keep up the good work! Yes, sir! Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir! You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir! Seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems generally concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon? Oh, I forgot. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Oh, wait. Oh, I can't. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. Businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident. An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man. Can I go back on that one? Nope. Darker came up on the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this was all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in? Yeah, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. Yeah. It's a good thing the last witness wasn't killed. That last witness. AKA Emma. You solved 2 murders. Yeah. Why? Can I... That one. Can I present that to him? Show him that. Let's go back to this here. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can do this. At no time did it say I could present him. Oh wait, I do it here. Sorry guys, it's getting late. My brain is just not working anymore. What about this? Hey, is that... It's a tag attached to it. SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day of Detective Goodman was murdered, it suddenly disappeared from the locker. It was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what the incriminating piecing of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, Detective? Quick, before you forget again! Talk. Aha. Murder weapon. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus, it had his fingerprints on it, too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you see it's broken. You don't have to take a look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway. Take a guess where the broken tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Drake's lead? I want to keep wanting to say Drake. Dark's knife? You bet. Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Neil's autopsy report. How loud can I yell right now? Not very loud. Is as loud as I can get. Because unfortunately, Sanjin 13 is streaming upstairs, so... And it's also almost 11 o'clock at night, so we don't want to wake my neighbors up. How yell can I loud right now? Yeah. I love it. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. On that note, you gotta go to sleep. Night, Pepper. You have a good rest. And take it easy this week too, okay? And keep cool. Because I know you guys were like 28 today. 29. So make sure you're staying cool. At least the humidity is only at 42%, I think it was. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the G. Doing that, only struggling with the pain levels. Yeah. Good night, Pepper. Heating pad, ice, Tylenol or Advil. Is where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief is out and his office is locked, but we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with a breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. It won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. Wonder if there was something we could show him that would change his mind. Let's see. There should be something. Everyone's probably busy looking at it. That must be where the evidence was to be proved in court today on the other day. No one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case, but instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. I don't think there's... Hey, here's a phone. Let's see if it works. Hey, don't touch stuff we don't need to be touching. I can't hear anything. My ears! My ears! Maybe it's just babbling about... Hello? What did you just say? Look, you can hear me just fine. The phone's broken. This famous oil drum. Okay, yeah. I think we've already looked at everything in here. Edgeworth's office. Oh, yeah. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is. It looks like he's writing something. What? What are you doing here? Sure was quick to throw that paper to the floor. Is there anything else? Oh, wow. I've got still quite a bit to do in today's investigation. I might have to end it shortly. Sure was quick to throw that paper to the floor. Tough day in court, huh? Had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what do you want? Like some people, I don't have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing can erase the fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified. Ooh, this. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. Police department's error is my error, my responsibility as prosecutor in charge. Fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Edgeworth? I take pride in my work, so tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, and now this one? Seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's why my superiors are banking on. Never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. that picture. Something seems strange about it. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in the ceremony of the station, right? Never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on ceremony. Yes, you can. Finished up at the office in the morning and then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yeah, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to. That's right. You go enjoy your lurk. I wanted to present him with the picture. Mood? Yeah. Where's the picture? There's the picture. Come here. This picture was hanging on Gant's wall. Prosecutor Neil Marshall had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. And I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. Chinese, the word contradiction is written in 2 characters. First means halberd, the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell us, though, for Emma's sake? Yeah, right. Very well. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless, and thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words, but it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow. Thanks, Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the reward abolished. Chief Gant. Wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright, let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth's sitting right there. Just distract him, I'll check it out. Oh, hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe at the window there? Oh no, he's fallen to the ground. Hold on, first let me see what the girl's doing crawling under around my feet. He didn't even look. Wait, letter of... If you're having trouble reading it, I'll read it for you. It says, letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, right? I feel as if something inside me has died. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh, I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. Letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. What? Why would you? I don't think there's anything else to talk to him about. Okay, and this is where we're gonna actually stop it for now because it's 11 o'clock and I do have my day job tomorrow morning. So we will pick up here at this. Wait, how many saves can you have on this thing? Holy crap! There we go. We will pick up here next week for the rest of it. So thanks for hanging out, and I hope you all enjoyed the little avatars down there. I have no idea how to, like, get rid of them, though, like the excess ones. So I might have to, like, change all that. That button and that button. So let's go see who's all out there. Let's exit that game. And let's see who's all doing what. What is he playing that he's blaming two ladies for? Oh, okay. Okay. So we're gonna go raid Sanjin 13. He is playing Persona? I don't know which one. It does not say. So I'm going to go pick on him for that. So thanks for hanging out, guys. And we will be back tomorrow with Garden Paws. We'll have some more of these wonderful stream avatars. Because they get to stick around, so it makes it a little easier. So we will be back tomorrow around 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for that. We'll run until about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you couldn't catch it the beginning live, it is up for 2 weeks, I believe, on Twitch. Or you can catch it all on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook, but I warn you, I spam the heck out of animals. I do. I don't really post much. I just spam animals. Especially those that need homes or goofiness. Also, there's the Discord as well. I try and spam animals there too, or just announcements as to when I'm going live and whatnot. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys all next time. Laters!
Soon the doors to the dining hall will be locked, and entry at that point is strictly prohibited.